Ah, said Miles, with a meaningful smile. Yes, well, the fields do belong to Pagford, technically they do. Painful subject, Kay. Really? Why? Asked Kay, hoping to make conversation general because Gavin was still talking in an undertone to the widow. Well, you see, this is back in the 50s. Miles seemed to be embarking on a well-rehearsed speech. Yarville wanted to expand the Cantermill estate, and instead of building out to the west, where the bypass is now... Gavin, Mary, more wine, Samantha called over Miles. They were a little bit duplicitous. Land was bought without it being very clear what they wanted it for, and then they went and expanded the estate over the border into Pagford Parish. Why aren't you mentioning old Aubrey Fawley, Miles? Asked Samantha. She had at last reached that delicious point of intoxication where her tongue became wicked and she became disengaged from fear of consequences, eager to provoke and to irritate, seeking nothing but her own amusement. The truth is that old Aubrey Fawley, who used to own all those lovely stone quoits or whatever Miles was telling you about, did a deal behind everyone's backs. That's not fair, Sam, said Miles, but she talked over him again. He flogged off the land where the fields are built, pocketed, I don't know, must have been $250,000 or so. Don't talk rubbish, Sam, back in the 50s. But then, once he'd realised everyone was pissed off with him, he pretended he hadn't known it would cause trouble. Upper-class twit and a drunk, added Samantha. Simply not true, I'm afraid, Miles said firmly. To fully understand the problem, Kay, you need to appreciate a bit of local history. Samantha, holding her chin in her hand, pretended to slide her elbow off the table in boredom. Though she could not like Samantha, Kay laughed, and Gavin and Mary broke off their quiet conversation. We're talking about the fields, said Kay, in a tone intended to remind Gavin that she was there, that he ought to be giving her moral support. Miles, Samantha, and Gavin realised simultaneously that the fields was a most tactless subject to raise in front of Mary, when they had been such a bone of contention between Barry and Howard. Apparently they're a bit of a sore subject locally, said Kay, wanting to force Gavin to express a view, to rope him in. He replied, and turning back to Mary, he said, So, how's Declan's football coming on? Kay experienced a powerful stab of fury. Mary might be recently bereaved, but Gavin's solicitousness seemed unnecessarily pointed. She had imagined this evening quite differently, a foursome in which Gavin would